Have you received a loan offer from LendingPoint? Or have you seen them and wondered whether you should apply for a debt consolidation loan? If you want to learn all about LendingPoint, you've come to the right place. Let's get at it. Is LendingPoint a legitimate company? LendingPoint is a privately held company headquartered in Atlanta. For our purposes, privately held simply means that there's not that much information about them or how they operate. But there's still a lot we do know. They were founded in 2015 and have been named one of the fastest growing companies in 4 different years. They provide personal loans, point of sale financing, and small business loans. They offer loans in 48 states and the District of Columbia. They are directly licensed to lend in a few states, but when you borrow from LendingPoint, you are more likely to actually be borrowing from FinWise Bank, Midland States Bank, or Coastal Community Bank. So what does this all mean? Are they legitimate? Are they a good company? Because most of their lending is done through banks, that means they are closely monitored by the government. Regulators look over their policies, their advertisements, and their communications fairly regularly. That, of course, doesn't mean that you're going to get the best deal from them, but it does mean that they are a real, legitimate company. What are LendingPoint debt consolidation loans like? LendingPoint lends between $2,000 and $36,500, and their term lasts between 2 and 6 years. Now, 6 years is about as long as I've seen from any loans of this kind. On the one hand, that's good because it could keep your payments more manageable. On the other hand, it means paying interest an awfully long time. And the longer it takes you to get out of debt, the higher the chances of something else going wrong. LendingPoint charges between 7.99% and 35.99% APR on their loans. The rate that you get will depend on the size of the loan and your personal financial situation. As part of that APR, LendingPoint will charge an origination fee that can be as much as 10%. Now, 10% is really high for an origination fee, so you'll want to pay particular attention to what they offer you. What is the LendingPoint application process like? You apply for a LendingPoint loan online, or if you want to talk to a real human, you can call them directly. If you have all the documents you need, applying should only take a few minutes. Once your application is complete and submitted, approval comes within seconds. The documents you will need to apply include a driver's license or other government ID, a pay stub showing income, a bank statement, and verification of employment. With your authorization, they will also check your credit report with the credit bureaus. Is it hard to get a loan with LendingPoint? Whether it's hard to get a loan with LendingPoint is relative. If you have a modest income and damaged credit, I think it's fair to say that it will indeed be hard to get any loan with LendingPoint. LendingPoint does not mention whether they have a minimum credit score for approval. A lot of websites guess at what LendingPoint requires, but none of them agree, and the range is broad. My guess is that they don't have a minimum credit score. In fact, they probably analyze your credit report, but don't use the score at all in their decision. They will look at your debt to income and payment to income ratios, recent credit behavior, and other financial measures to determine how much to offer you and at what interest rate. Still, that's not a very satisfying answer. My personal guess is that they don't approve many people with credit scores below 620. But the only way to know for sure whether they would approve you is to apply. What should you look for in the LendingPoint loan agreement? Since LendingPoint doesn't publish their policies on their website, you need to read the loan agreement before you decide to take the loan. So what are the particular things you should look for? First thing you should look for is the origination fee. This should be really obvious because by law, they've got to include the origination fee in the APR. So it should be up front. They say that the origination fee varies by state, but that it can be as high as 10%. 10% is a pretty high origination fee, especially for loans over $5,000. 5% would be high for loans over $10,000. If the origination fee is included in the APR, shouldn't you just make sure that the APR is lower than any other offers you might get? Well, yes and no. If you pay off your loan early, they still keep all of the origination fee. That means that when you pay off your loan early, your effective APR is higher than your stated APR. So if you plan to pay off your loan within a year, a high origination fee will make your actual APR much higher than it is stated in your loan agreement. You should also check for other fees. LendingPoint's website does not mention a late fee, but I suspect they have one. A $15 late fee for a loan payment is pretty standard. A $30 late fee would be high. You will also want to check when they charge that late fee. Some lenders charge the late fee only after a grace period. If you have been late paying any of your other bills during the last year, you should factor in some late fees in the total cost of your loan, just to be on the safe side. The other fee you should look for in the loan agreement is an NSF fee, or a non-sufficient fund fee. A lender charges you this fee if they attempt to withdraw your payment and you don't have enough money in the bank. If your checking account often drops below the monthly payment for a proposed loan, you should consider a couple of NSF fees in the total cost of the loan. Is LendingPoint good for debt consolidation? When you apply for a LendingPoint loan, they will ask you what the purpose of your loan is. You can select debt consolidation from a drop-down menu, but it's unclear whether they actually do anything with that information. It may be just for marketing purposes, although there is a chance it plays a role in the decision that they make. When it comes to debt consolidation, LendingPoint does not appear to have the option of having them pay off your other loans directly. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily, but it does indicate to me that they haven't spent as many resources developing the features that cater to a person trying to consolidate their debt. Of course, we also don't know whether they make allowances for debt consolidation when they make a decision on how much to lend you. In other words, are they taking into account that the LendingPoint loan payment would replace other monthly payments? If not, competitors will probably offer you a better rate or a higher loan amount. The only way to be sure you're getting the best deal you can is to shop around. What to do before you take a debt consolidation loan from LendingPoint? The first thing you should always do before you take a debt consolidation loan is to shop around. Never take a loan unless you've applied to at least 3 or 4 lenders. Ideally, you will have at least 2 offers in hand before you take a loan. Why? Well, every lender has a different algorithm for determining whether to lend you money, how much, and at what rate. I personally don't know any lender that makes their decision on credit score alone. That means that they each develop a different criteria. You may score better for one lender than another simply because of how they weight different aspects of your financial life. You owe it to yourself to get the best deal you can. We've tried to make shopping around easy at the Yukon Project. With a single application, you can apply to up to 40 lenders at once to see what rate they would offer you. The lenders do a soft credit inquiry, so it won't negatively affect your credit score either. Whether you take a loan from one of our partners or not, you owe it to yourself to shop around and ensure that you're getting the best deal. Another thing you should always do before you take a debt consolidation loan is that you need to be really clear about which loans you want to consolidate and which loans you definitely do not want to consolidate. Simply put, do not consolidate any debts that can be reasonably paid off within the next 8 to 12 months. This is because a new loan just means that you will be paying that amount over 3 to 5 years. Also, do not consolidate any debts that currently have a lower interest rate than the APR on the new loan. That will just mean paying more interest than you currently are on that money. It's hard for me to recommend LendingPoint because they aren't as clear about their policies as I would like them to be. The things I do like, though, is that they offer a meaningful loan amount. They have decent interest rates, they don't have prepayment penalties, and they do have a mobile app. Things I am cautious about. They aren't clear about their fees. Their origination fee can be very high, and they offer 6-year terms, which feels too long to me. If you have used LendingPoint in the past, consider leaving a comment below so others can benefit from your experience. Please consider subscribing to our channel. Thanks for watching.